Good morning. Slightly new format. I'm going to be talking about a subject, wild gaming, border tags. Slight flare up there. And my subject matter whilst gaming will be, in the UK, our new government has proposed a blanket ban on smoking and I think possibly even vaping in beer gardens and on pavements outside pubs and clubs. I would say they may, because there are still a few MPs who are tied to tobacco money, find this difficult to get through, but I also think the vaping part won't get through at all. Because vaping is trendy, many people do it. Smoking is a dying art. But not many people do these days. Smokers are literally dying out. Vapors will too eventually, because I don't believe that's necessarily any better for you. I have only spoken to one landlady, but she's been in the business for quite some time. She knows her business. And she views this as yet another blow to pubs. And maybe this is the point. The last government did very little to help pubs out during COVID. Many have yet to recover back to their full potential. And in a lot of places, it is the hardcore of customers, people who spend the money, that keep these places afloat. The casual weekenders, who I believe are more likely to moan about people smoking in the beer garden, they choose a different pub every weekend. They have no loyalty. I would say I am loyal to two places fully. There's a couple of other places I like. I can't afford to go to that often. And mostly I'm a casual afternoon drinker, so large amounts of money isn't going to be coming from me. You know? But it is what it is. What it will mean is I can see certain situations where smokers will find themselves getting hassled for walking past places and smoking. That is worst case scenario, and I'm talking customers as well as perhaps official bouncers. One shot on target. You know, it's not going to be pleasant. Because it's not meant to be. It's meant to severely inconvenience people, and I believe such things will eventually just say to people, well, fuck it, I'll drink at home. Low tier gaming. But no, the problem I see mostly is it is going to discourage people from bothering to go into pubs. I mean, worst case scenario, they ban vaping in beer gardens and outside pubs as well. Well, people just go, well, I'll just sit at home then. And that is what I see. People, and this I believe is what they want. They would much rather everybody works their asses off 6 days a week, sits at home, orders their takeaway, buys their booze from on order from Tesco's, and just sits in and behaves like good little children. And then the powers that be will pat them all on the head for being well behaved and not going out at the weekend and causing trouble, or, you know, demanding that there be entertainment. No, you sit at home and you let all your entertainment be in your home, and you don't leave the house apart from to work. I'm sure every government in the world would love people to be that compliant. And this to me is what it's about. Is it about public health? Or you drain resources from the NHS? Well, maybe if you actually funded it properly, it wouldn't be such an issue. Would be my answer. And for most of my life, other than when I could manage to get the occasional duty free from contacts, I've paid massive amounts of tax on what I smoke, and I still pay massive amounts of tax on what I drink when I go out or buy from a corner shop. Okay, I don't pay tax on the home brew, but I imagine brewing kits have a certain amount of tax on them. So, you know, I do pay my taxes for the privilege of being able to go out, for the privilege of basically destroying my lungs. You know? Okay, when it comes down to it, if I do end up with lung cancer that's inoperable and incurable, I would like to think by that time, touch wood, that this country has a more enlightened attitude, and it would be possible to just say, no, I don't want to go on with this treatment, I don't want palliative care, I just want to be able to be allowed to die. The Swiss clinics fascinate me. I mean, I'd much rather go out in battle. So, you know, maybe I'll have to, start throwing juice boxes at nurses. You know, maybe the effort will kill me, and then I can justifiably say I died in battle, kind of. Which would be good. But no, I do believe this is yet another effort by successive governments to restrict people's freedom of choice. And on the other hand, I realised that you give a lot of people freedom of choice, and they don't use it wisely. Sometimes I don't, especially if I've been drinking too much. But you have to let people be people. The authorities are there to a certain extent to act as a safety net and clear up the messes that people leave when they make bad decisions. Okay, there are those who constantly make bad decisions. And these people, well, that's what the criminal justice system is there for. You know, like our old downstairs neighbour, who was a narcissistic, definitely, wife beating, allegedly, well, not allegedly, he did, but I have to say that. Lying, drunken, alcoholic bastard. We had to call the police out on him 4 times in a month, and that was the first month he was there. It was ridiculous. And yes, there needs to be legislation in place to protect people from people like him. I believe you look far enough back, there's a little song with me very badly playing guitar because I can't play guitar, called Shitbag Steve, which was written in his dishonour. That's a good way of putting it. So yeah, we are basically being restricted more and more by governments in what we do. And I think this is a reflection of how worried they are that they could lose control. The world has become a dangerous place. There's a lot going on, people are worried. But restricting people's freedoms even more is going to have the opposite effect to intended, I believe, with many people. They're just going to go, fuck it. I'll do what I want and fuck you. Hopefully. I don't hold out much hope that people will actually do that. There are many people who will simply comply because compliance is what they're used to. I will not be one of them. I don't do compliance. When compliance to unnecessary restrictions on freedom is something I disagree with wholeheartedly. Once I cleared my overdraft, it was my freedom of choice to remove myself from Barclays as a customer because of their ties to the Israeli regime. I was saying to my partner last night, at the end of the day, I have no sympathy for those who simply work at Barclays Bank. If they get shouted at and abused by Free Palestine demonstrators, tough. You are choosing to work at Barclays Bank. Don't tell me you don't have a choice, because you do. It's nothing to do with me. I'm just a low-grade mortgage advisor or whatever. Yes, it is something to do with you, because you are actively helping support a company that is funding the Israeli regime. So many people in these organisations do not see that they are in any way, shape or form to blame for what's going on. But by working for such a company, you share a bit of the blame, I think. You can extend it to the extreme by saying those who worked for the regime of the short mustachioed vegetarian failed painter. They claim they were only minor cogs in the wheel, but they were actively supporting that regime. And yes, in Germany at that time, speaking out against the regime was a danger to your own life. Currently, speaking out against the regimes is merely a danger to your reputation, not your life. I sometimes fear that things may go to extremes again in many countries across Europe and indeed the Americas. There's already been legislation passed in this country which means, for promoting extreme ways of dealing with things, you could be basically labelled a terrorist. No. Because it's a very convenient way of various governments shutting you up. You don't want the chance of being labelled a terrorist by promoting extreme action. As for the original subject, what can publicans do? Let's be fair. There are probably going to be loopholes within the law. For instance, you could declare an area of your garden private property and invite guests. This would seem to me to be a way of doing it. I saw something fire over there. That's an idea. Go on, kill. Maybe this would be a loophole. I'm not sure whether it'd work. You may find situations like someone who lives next door to a local pub may decide to open their own private garden. Which would be interesting, wouldn't it? There could be lots of little arrangements to counteract this ridiculous law. So yeah, there could be many loopholes in this, but I totally disagree with this law restricting people. It is aimed at what are vast becoming a minority. And when you start getting laws aimed squarely at a minority, eventually Yeah, maybe this time they won't get the vapours, but maybe next time they will, because once you give them leeway on one restriction, they will quite happily then put another, maybe a year later, and people think, well, you know, we lived with that, so now we'll live with this. Do I disagree with the smoking ban within pubs? No, I don't. I think it was a good compromise move. And I'm a smoker. But banning people from smoking at outdoor events, banning people from smoking in beer gardens, that's going too far. But I think they may get away with it. Or they may put it down to choice. So many chain pubs will probably enforce it. Many small independents will not. And in a way, if they make it a choice thing, this could help smaller independent pubs. Because they will not have to comply with what the chains tell them. Who knows? Anyway, those are my thoughts on the proposed smoking ban by the Labour government in the UK. That smoking ban will apply to outdoor events, beer gardens and pavements outside venues. See, they're telling us we can't smoke on public property, which is wrong. That annoys me the most, because the pavement outside a venue is public, is a public space. And if they can manage to push that part of it through. And one other thing, as the landlady I spoke to said, I suppose I should call her a Republican, shouldn't I? People aren't going to want to leave their drinks. Because you're not allowed to, no glasses beyond this point is on the notice of the beer garden at this pub. And in this day and age where there's often fears of people spiking drinks, no one's going to want to do that. Yet again, basically discouraging people from going for a night out. Anyways, that's my thoughts on this subject. What are yours? That's what the comments section is for.